Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. We are deep in September now. Deep in September. I am your host, Kameel Gaines, but welcome to the Real on Wheel show featuring MVT. And we got Pierson in the house. We are virtual today. So, Pierson, where are you? You are in just somewhere.
I'm overseas again. I'm in Lithuania today. I always get excited, though, to get on the show every week here. So I'm excited to talk to you, Kameel.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It looks like, is it nighttime there? I guess so, right?
Yeah, it is. It is 11:05 p.m. at this moment as we do this.
Oh God, I don't know how you do it. I
I,
just
I, I'm in U.S. hours, and you know what? I don't complain about the hours that much, considering what professional drivers on the road do. I don't know that I'm going to get that much sympathy.
I still gonna complain because I have a hard time flipping back and forth between Pacific, Central, Eastern. So they're just gonna have to give me sympathy. It just is what it is. But we are here every Tuesday to give you your industry insights, your hot jobs, your news, your driver tips, and your recruitment tips. So let's get it started, everybody. We got some good news here. We definitely got some good news. You want to go over diesel? Do you have a diesel, or you want me to go over the diesel?
Let's go over diesel. We're sitting at $3.55 a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
It's encouraging. If you think about it, our peak over the last 6 months, back in February, we were at 410.09. So it went down, and then starting in the beginning of June, it spiked back up again in July, and now we're sitting at 355. As we've talked about on this show a number of times here, our country seems to be in purgatory. Uh, as an owner operator, a fleet owner, you don't necessarily want to see prices go up, but prices go up when the economy is doing well, prices go down when it's not doing well. It's not plummeting 20, 30 cents a gallon. That is a really good sign for the economy. But we are in that state of purgatory where most companies just, quite frankly, don't know what's going to happen here. It depends who you listen to on the election. I've seen some people go, this is a close race. I've had other people that I've heard going, Kamala's going to win. I legitimately, gun to my head, I tell my wife and kids I love them. I do not know how it ends. Most businesses appear not to know that, and because of that, the economy is really, really stagnant. If you look at the spot market, it shows that, but if you look at fuel, it's stagnant, but it's not falling off of a cliff. So we're looking at an economy that's really just holding steady, going, okay, what happens next?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, as a business owner, I don't know who is going to win. As a personal person, I know Kamala is going to win. I am just throwing that out there that Kamala will win. And America's dad, he's going to win. Definitely. He's a football coach. I mean,
I'm going to say from a business standpoint, and this is the thing that frustrates me a little bit, but I kind of get it. Laws are passed by Congress. Congress is where all the laws get passed. Your president, in a lot of ways, stops stupid things from happening.
Yeah.
And really drives and acts as the cheerleader for the country. I don't, like we've talked about in the past, I tend to vote Libertarian. FYI, I'm going to be bold here and make a prediction. My candidate's not going to win. So let me.
Not going to win, and he's not going to be on tonight's debate.
Yep.
Okay.
I will word it this way. Can you name who the Libertarian candidate is?
No.
Yeah, his name's Chase Oliver, and I bet his parents may have trouble naming who he is as a candidate.
You should be embarrassed that that's your candidate.
Well, now I feel insulted because that is my candidate. I promise you, that is my
Is that
candidate.
the Green Party, right?
No, no, that is the Libertarian Party. I have no clue who the Green Party candidate is. We are in a duopoly, though. If you're not a Democrat or Republican, it hasn't mattered if you were a third party since Ross Perot in
Yeah,
1992. And I don't mean to age either one of us, but that was a long time
long
ago.
time ago. Yeah,
Yes.
that's true. That was the only time that made a difference.
It did, and to be honest with you, I will say this, he got me interested in politics. Ross Perot with his 30-minute infomercials got me interested in politics. I don't know if he would have won, and he very well may have lost the election, but boy, he made it interesting.
You know who got me into it was Mayor Daley, the mayor of Chicago, not a daddy mayor because that was before my time, but the mayor that reigned over Chicago forever until he decided he wasn't going to be mayor anymore. Because my mother always said you had to speak a certain way, you had to this, all of that. And he didn't. He spoke horribly. It took him forever to pass the bar. He pointed at everybody. He wore a long trench coat and he had an entourage wherever he went. I loved it. So I remember working in the Aon building downtown on Randolph, and I was coming down the escalators and I was in awe. I He came over and shook my hand because he just was like, she has to be my biggest fan. That he is who got me into politics because my mother told me you had to do everything properly, and he was everything that you weren't supposed to do in success.
Yeah, my big thing here, especially if you're a driver, if you're an industry professional, however you're attached to the trucking industry, I always say vote in your interest. Look at the trucking industry, and I don't mean this in a sarcastic way or a way to be construed as being, oh, he means this. I think the big thing right now is vote for who you believe in. It may be somebody I like, it may be somebody I don't like, but as an industry, it behooves us to vote. I think it's a really big thing if you're a professional and you can't be home on election day. Look at early ballots. Look at how you can vote. I think it's really important that our industry vote and participate and be vocal and be loud in the process. 1 in 6 workers in this economy is somehow tied into the logistics, warehousing, or transportation industry. We are a vocal minority as an industry. It behooves us to be loud, vocal, and make our votes count on election day. So I'm a big advocate in our industry of make your voice heard. Even if you don't agree with me or you don't agree with Camille, as an example, make your voice heard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all right. And you definitely have to make your voice heard. I definitely agree with you there. So let's jump into the prices of freight.
Yeah, I was really encouraged here. Now we were
Yes.
somewhat expecting this off the spot market. If it's been, that's also been in purgatory. If we look at the spot market in this week, and Camille, you can help me. What week are we in here at this point? Is it week 33?
I don't, Jesus, that's the one thing I don't have down here is what week it is. I think it is 33 or 34.
Yeah. So spot market rate, dry van was up 6 cents a mile, flatbed was up 3 cents a mile, reefer was up 13 cents a mile. So reefer is now sitting at 251 a mile. I'm encouraged by that. It's still not consistent from one market to the next. So as an example, the West Coast seems to be booming, and it will as we go into harvest season. Of course, forcing a lot of cheap freight back into California, but 6, 3, and 13 really encouraging on that end to see that. We should have a couple weeks like that. Um, with that said, available loads increased is 6% after a 1% dip the week before. So that's something to be interested in. Again, we'll continue to look at the ratios. Um, there's a bit of a lack of clarity. I can't read long term numbers into this. With that said, though, we're up. and that's a big thing. As fuel continues to go down, spot market rate goes up. That's at least encouraging. We have a long ways to go before we're back even to where we were 2 years
Yeah.
ago. But I would anticipate the next 2 to 3 weeks should be up based off of a number of factors. I would anticipate once we get past the election, the spot market will go up, and where drivers should get encouraged by that is that the spot market is generally then followed by the rate market, the actual contracted market. Um, when you talk to a lot of people on the shipping end that end up talking about stuff, they're expecting 2025 not to be as cheap as 2024. That's encouraging. This has been a long year for our industry. We're encouraged seeing that going up. But with that said, I'm excited about next year. No matter who wins the election, like we talked about when we talked about fuel, I'm anticipating next year being very strong. I'm anticipating December and most of November being very strong. Most of the economists and the experts that follow that are following the same suit. But yeah, up 6 cents in dry van, up 3 cents there in flatbed, and king of the road there, 13 cents for reefer. Good for them.
Yeah, that's really good for them. We have been off for 3 weeks, apparently sleeping, because it is week 36.
Oh crap! Where the hell is 2024 going?
I don't know, but apparently I've been drinking a lot of bourbon because 3 weeks.
I'm
But
proud of you, Kameel.
yes, I do. I'm not a quitter. I just got to keep going. But I was trying to be a freight economist and trying to look to see if we can do some predictions and forecasting. So week one, continued tightening, expected to increase loads 2 to 3 due to seasonal demands, kind of like what you just said. Truck availability decreased 1 to 2%. And so that means the dry van should rise about 2 to 3 cents. Flatbed 1 to 2, and you will still see a jump in reefer about 4 cents.
Yep.
Week two, even more of an increase. Three might stabilize. Week four, cool off a little bit, and then week five, it might kind of adjust, do a little bit of adjustment and go back to what it was week three. But basically, everything, like you definitely said, is looking like it's going in the right direction. And I do want to piggyback off of what you're saying. Regardless of who does win, even though whoever it is going to get credit for the trucking economy going back up. The truth of the matter is, it's just pure economics. At this point, it's just a cycle, and the reason why it was just down for so long is because of the pandemic, and it hit us with a force. But it was just time for it to go down. But it just went down and went down hard, and we weren't really prepared for that.
I will say this. Do you want to move on to the next story?
No, what were you gonna say?
Well, are you ready to move on to the next story? Because I don't want to cut you off because I like your insights.
No. If you had something
Okay.
else to say.
No, I will say this. As an industry, though, I'm really excited where we seem to be a savage right now looking at the future. We seem to be a lot safer as an industry. So despite everything going on, there were more miles ran on the road over the first half of this year than there were the previous year. Yet our safety things, our fatalities are going down by about 3.2%. That has me excited. So the NHTSA says traffic fatalities fell 3.2% in the first half of 2024. That means there was about 18,720 fatalities. With that said, that's compared to 19,330 the year before. It's not a reason to go, well, people are driving less. That's actually not the case. As an overall economy, we ran about 13.1 billion miles more. That's roughly 8% higher than the same time last year. Yet fatalities continue to go down at that 3.2% range. that gets me really excited here because we talk about, freight rates and fuel economy, but at the end of the day, we have to share the road with the motoring public. Literally, if you go back 30 years ago, you are 6 times more likely to be in a fatal car accident with a truck. So we talk about the good old days and how the 80s were the boom and bust era of trucking. With that said, we continue to get safer. Now is the safest time to be on the road where a four-wheeler and a truck can share the road together. I wish every interstate was like the New Jersey Turnpike where they separated the trucks and the cars. It's not. So I'm excited. That 3.2% drop for the first half of the year in fatalities is a major deal when you consider what it's like to lose a loved one or see a truck match up with a car. That gets me really encouraged. That is a bright spot for 2024.
Yeah, I think overall people are also they're putting realizing safety is part of their profits. I
Yep.
hate to say this part. This sounds bad, what I'm about to say. So don't kill me. But when you start hurting people's pockets, they start figuring it out.
Yeah, and look, let's not even talk about the lawyers involved in this industry. There is a financial benefit to being safe on the road. Not just morally or ethically, but there's a financial benefit to being safe on the road. It is hard to operate today as a renegade or one of the highway cowboys on the road. The fact is we now that everybody's on logbooks, and that happened pre-COVID, but once we all got on ELDs and got on the same playbook, um, you figure out how do you maximize your driver's hours? How do you get the very most out of them so that they can make a living? B, you can efficiently and effectively run down the road. And C, most importantly, how can you do it without being a hindrance on the road while being efficient? Um, I'm excited by that fact. And it wasn't an artificial fact. The fact was we ran a little more than we did last year, and we still went down. That means it's not a fluke. We have some momentum going as an industry. And as we talk about a lot on this show, is how are we perceived by the four wheelers on the road, the general public on the road, the next generation of potential drivers? Us being safe, efficient, and professional becomes really important. I'm encouraged by that metric.
And more trucks and more carriers, more fleets are having speed limiters on their trucks.
Yes.
So that also is part of it. So when we have drivers that are saying, no, don't put what is the term that it's not called speed limiters. I mean, that's the real term. But
Don't govern me.
yeah, don't govern my truck. Um, that is really showing that it's safe. And then also drivers are actually being able to be paid more because of that.
Yeah, and I look, I've heard it over the years. The sweet spot of the truck is 72 miles an hour. I'm a hindrance to traffic. It's a safety issue. I have to go faster. All the metrics indicate that's not the case. I get it, and it really gets into that conversation about what's your time worth. We as an industry think heavily about miles equal dollars. That's somewhat true. That's somewhat true. We do pay on a cent per mile basis as an industry in most cases. With that said, look, at the end of the day, it's fuel efficiency, it's getting you home safely, it's servicing the customers. We oversimplify things often. If you're going 63, 64, 65, you're going plenty fast, you're able to get where you need to go. I do not know of a carrier. Most carriers said it that if you're going from point A to point B, they're assuming you on an average about 49 to 50 as far as miles per hour. There is no carrier that should be figuring you at 70 miles an hour. If they're setting you up on lanes that in order for you to meet the customer demands, you need to be at 70 miles an hour, the customer's taking advantage of you.
Yeah.
They literally better be paying you for the freight that you're burning and the safety risk that you're taking.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually takes me to my next news article. It's almost like you are reading my notes here. Jury issues $462 million verdict against Wabash after crash. This article discusses the verdict against Wabash National Court that involves its trailers, and the jury found that Wabash was liable for not implementing safety trailer design, specifically ride guards, leading to the deaths of two men. And that's the whole thing. So it compiled of arguing regulation standards that lack the driver's intoxication or lack of seatbelts. So they were drunk and they didn't have on no damn seatbelts. So my issue with this is now, yes, it might, we do maybe need more safety features and stuff like that. But now we're going to have to deal with the trailers or the equipment and all of that, lawyers and ambulance chasers after the equipment, that's going to in turn affect carriers trying to make sure they're negotiating based on rates versus just plain safety, right? Then that's going to affect the driver. That's going to affect the shipper. It trickles down, but it doesn't trickle down in the proper way, and it's not really going to be talking about safety. So these men were killed. I hate that they were killed, but they were drunk and they didn't have on their damn seatbelt. So they were breaking two laws, but their family get $462 million. And the lawyer gonna get their lawyers are gonna get 33% of that.
Yep.
That's bull shit. Like,
Yeah, I will say, as an industry, we have to do everything in our power to protect ourselves, and we really do need to do that. It's a pre-trip inspection. It's having inward and outward facing cameras. It is side cameras. It is everything possible that we have the burden of proof as an industry. We are viewed as professionals.
right.
And so we always talk about going into court and being the innocent until proven guilty. I hate to say this, we are not. As professional CDL holders, as professional truck drivers with a DOT number, we go into court behind the eight ball.
Yeah.
It's why I have a lot of drivers that used to just harp on the fact of inward facing cameras. I do not want Big Brother behind the truck. Now, at MVT, we don't have true inward facing cameras. Ours are AI generated. So there has to be an action to cause it to start filming.
Mm-hmm.
But as a professional driver, as a trucking company, you want every resource available. There is still good money to be made as a professional truck driver in this industry.
Right.
But we are in a landmine. We have attorneys and we have other people that will literally hound us doing our jobs. Do not be that driver that's trying to run like it's 1974. We now have to be prepared for the fact that we have people that are out to get us. It's lawyers like you'll see the billboards that say the strong arm or the jackhammer, or I'm going to get a truck smashed or something along those lines. We have to be prepared for those folks. And with that said, we have to execute from all the way from pre-trip down to inward and outward facing cameras and ultimately how we report.
Yeah, the trucking industry needs to advocate for realistic balances of regulations because this is not realistic.
I think part of the problem, though, is when we go to court, and it's why so many settlements happen. When we go to court, your person outside of our industry does not understand what we do. The perception of a lot of people is that trucking companies are loaded with money. And trucking companies do make a lot of revenue,
Right.
but profit and revenue are not the same thing. I know a number of companies that generate $30 to $200 million a year in revenue, but don't make profit in 2024.
Right.
The problem is most of your four-wheelers on the road today know that companies generate a lot of revenue and they see dollar signs and they can go after it. My fear ultimately still comes down to insurance. And I think we talked about this 3-4 weeks ago. Progressive used to be a big player in our industry from an insurance standpoint and left. You see it happening a lot in the real estate and home insurance industry,
Yeah.
where states like Florida and California are having trouble getting coverage. It is my fear as we continue to move forward, a lot of insurance companies will push up rates that won't go to the driver, but will push up rates of products getting delivered. We'll see how the next 2 to 3 years play out, but it's going to be interesting, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well,
Well,
I
I
want
want
to go ahead and go to commercial, guys. You all, if you can shoot your comments and wherever you all are listening to this live, YouTube, Tickety Talk, LinkedIn, Facebook. So wherever you listening to this live, and we'll respond to them live if we see them. But go ahead and Kayla, if you would go to commercial, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some hot jobs. Thanks.
My name is Stacy Morton, and my position is OTR driver. And I've been with the company for 8 months. I enjoy being with part of the family because good miles, nice people. They listen to the drivers. The pay is excellent here at MVT. The home time is very good. You get to go home anytime you want. The dispatchers are really nice. They listen to the drivers, whatever you want. They will do their best to give you what you need. And the equipment is good, and safety is excellent. Yeah, they're fast, and the roadside is good. They listen to you, and they get the job fixed in a timely manner. Yeah, I would recommend other drivers to come to MVT because this is a good place to work, and you get excellent home time and everything that you need here.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So we got a couple of hot jobs. So Vanna, if you would pull them up. Kayla, that's your. Oh well, I guess it's a bad joke now. It's an old joke. Okay.
Hey, let's talk about one of my favorite divisions, Division 329.
Yeah.
We're hiring out of Houston, DFW, San Antonio, and Laredo. This is our Texas regional and surrounding states division. If you live out of one of those markets, really the nice thing here is you're never more than a day away from home. You're running mainly eastern Texas, southern Oklahoma, occasionally the southwest part of Louisiana. And if you're part of a team, you may go out to El Paso and come back into your running lane. But again, the nice thing is just you're never more than a day from home. I-45, I-35, I-10, really nice running areas in that I-10, that Texas Triangle region. If you have about 6 months experience, going to average about $12.50 a week. If you have up to 2 years of experience, you're going to average about $1,800 a week. So a really good paying job, weekly home time, a lot of drop and hook, like 80 to 85% drop and hook. So an exciting opportunity on that end for those that want it. We also take teams on this division. So you would think with that length of haul, it might not be good for teams, but our teams are running about 99% drop and hook. We have local drivers in those markets that ultimately deliver the final mile deliveries. So again, if you live out of Houston, DFW, San Antonio, Laredo, want weekly home time, really good annual and weekly pay, a lot of drop and hook, a lot of good customers like Starbucks, IKEA, Container Store, Home Depot, and more. Direct customers, not brokers. This is the division you're going to want to be a part of. Apply today. Do you want to go to the second division we want to share today, Kayla? And that would be Division 440. Very popular division based off of running lane. We currently have openings out of Memphis, Nashville, Tennessee, Houston, DFW, or San Antonio. Again, weekly home time, hiring within a 75-mile radius of those locations. A lot of specific engineered lanes. We don't deal with a lot of spot market freight, so you're running on very specific lanes because we work with direct, steady, year-long customers. Most of our customers on this division, we'd have relationships going on 20, 30 years. Again, going to make about anywhere between $1,100 to $1,300 a week, weekly home time, a lot of drop and hook. We don't require endorsements for any of our drivers, be it hazmat, doubles, triples, tanker. Don't require any of those endorsements coming in. We'll talk again in the future about why it's beneficial to potentially get those in the future. But when you come in through the door, you're coming in to run that freight, keep the miles coming, keep moving forward, and get the very best opportunity available. So again, we got Division 329 and Division 440 as our hot jobs this week. And as I'll point out before we talk about Rig on Wheels overall, we have other opportunities. So if you live in Portland, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, El Paso, Albuquerque, Denver, or anywhere along the Colorado Front Range, Laredo, San Antonio, DFW Metroplex, Houston, Memphis, Nashville, Louisville, St. Louis, or Jacksonville, and many, many other opportunities. Call 281-968-3100. That's 281-968-3100. Or visit the fine folks at rigonwheels.com so that you can get an application with us. And one of the things I wanted to point out today as we talk about hot jobs is ideally in a perfect world, I want you to be my coworker with MVT. At the end of the day, that's where my interest is. That's the advantage of Rig on Wheels, though. If you work with Rig on Wheels, they have over 40 customers. And so one of the things when you go looking for a job, let's say that you're not happy with where you're presently at, it is a long, grueling process, often requiring 20, 30, or 40 phone calls over the week. You hope that the recruiter's honest with you, even though they can be somewhat biased because they can only sell you the company they work for. You want somebody that acts as your representative, talks to you about what your wants, your needs are. Is your spouse a decision maker in the process? Can that spouse get on and have that conversation with the recruiter about what they want to do, where they ultimately want you to go? And then can you have an agent represent you, as they call, from company to company to make sure that you are the best fit there and they're the best fit with you? That's where Rig on Wheels comes involved. You're going to talk to folks like Nimmer and a whole bunch of other folks over there. Kameel, at this point, how long has Rig on Wheels been doing this?
January makes 15 years. So yeah, we've been doing it for a minute now. 15.
Yes, so definitely fly by night company. Your area of expertise is placing the right driver at the right company, so both the carrier and the driver win ultimately in that situation. And I can tell you, we hire a number of drivers from Rig on Wheels as an actual client of Rig on Wheels. You don't pay Rig on Wheels anything for their
No.
services. Ultimately, I do that, and I continue to do that to this day because the drivers that I bring from Rig on Wheels stay with MVT. They come here, they're happy with the job, and ultimately find success with MVT. So if you're a professional, and that's a big thing, if you're a professional on the road that takes pride in what they do, are safety conscious, and ultimately want to find the right fit for you, reach out to the folks at Rig on Wheels, have the conversation. They're going to want to know about your desires, your wants, your needs, and at the end of the day, instead of you spending a week making call after call after call, filling out app after app, you're going to get to have one conversation and allow your agent, as a professional driver over the road, to ultimately find out who's going to be the best fit for you. Would you say that'd be an accurate way of describing that, Kameel?
Yes, and I thank you, Pierson, because that is basically what we do. We are your agent, right? So when you get on the phone with Raven, Nimmer, Rachel, Deborah, or anyone else, yes. So when you call, let's say you see an ad on one of the job boards, or you see it on social media, or it's the podcast, or you get a text message or voicemail or whatever it is, and you're calling in regards to that specific job. But as we're talking to you, it sounds like that's not the job you're looking for, right? And we start telling you about another job. Our job is to meet your needs. So the one thing that differs us from an trucking company, we're not in the internal recruiter, is we're not married to any companies. Okay. Our job is to put you into a company that is good for you and your family. Now, let's say this year, this particular company A, works for you because you live in Georgia, right? But next year, it doesn't work for you because you've relocated, or your wife has had a baby and you need to be closer to home more often. So you need a different type of route. So those are life experiences. And our job is to find you something that fits your life. That's what Pierson meant by we are your agent, right? We also work with drivers to help build them a career path. So let's say you have some dings on your driving record. We'll look at that. You're open and honest with us, and we'll place you with a company that might be more friendly or okay with that. And in the future, 6, 8, 12, 18 months, you're able to go with the company that's you of your dreams, or you're more wanting to. So we work with you on that. Something else Pierson and I always talk about is maybe you have a dream to get into tankers or flatbed or whatever it is. You might want to do cross border, whatever it is. Our job is to try to get you on the path when it comes to career path. So we make sure that we take great notes so we know what it is that you're looking for. So when you call in or we call you back, we know where we are supposed to pick up. It's all about career building for you. That's what makes us professional recruiters, to service you as a professional driver. Yes, we have over 40 companies. That is the reason why we're able to help you. But each company is not going to be there for you. We have that so we can be able to place you with what's best for you. And you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. What were you about to say, Pierson?
It really is a win-win for the carrier and the driver. I have a driver that I got from the Rig on Wheels team about 3 months ago. Driver works for our Division 329, came from Rig on Wheels. Originally told me that they were looking for a dedicated opportunity out of Houston. They had 3 or 4 jobs that seemed to fit their buckets, but there was always something wrong. One wanted them to touch freight. One was going to require them to get hazmat. The other ended up having it to where they looked and did the online reviews, and drivers weren't very positive about the experience they had. Ultimately, they reached out to Rig on Wheels, said what they were looking for, what the home time was that they needed, that they weren't opposed to it not being dedicated, but they wanted consistent running lanes. And it became that conversation, that 15-minute conversation early on about, hey, I want consistent home time. I'd really like the same running lanes over and over. Doesn't have to be one customer, but I really want to stick to my area.
Yeah.
That ultimately the team at Rig on Wheels go, actually, we have 2 or 3 companies that fit for you. We were fortunate with MVT that we ended up being the carrier of choice. I'd like to be biased and hope that we'd always be the carrier of choice, but we're not. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, Rig on Wheels views us as a client. But at the end of the day, you are their client. You are who they find, they talk to, and they ultimately place in the right position. And as much as I always want to be favorited, I benefit from Rig on Wheels because they bring me a driver that's the most likely to be successful.
Yeah, because one of the questions that we ask is, what is it that you do absolutely don't in your next company? That's what makes the difference. Not what is it that you want in your next company. What is it that you don't want? Okay, because we have over 40 companies, we want to know what is it that you don't want so we can X those off. We don't want to deal with what you don't want in a company. And now we can look at the ones that we have left and then start chopping from there and be able to give you opportunities that make sense and are not disrespectful for you and your family. Because if we talk about what it is you want, there might be 15 different jobs, and that's just too many to choose from. And then that'll have you being a job hopper. and you don't want to do that. And then a lot of times that's what happens. The reason why drivers are job hoppers, because they're given too many options versus what is it that you don't want. And the recruiter is the one that knows a lot of the intricacies that are going on within the company. So if a driver is saying, I don't want certain things, the recruiter is saying, oh, that's what is going on at this account. That's what's going on at this account. So it's very easy to just say no, 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 really quickly and just exit out, especially when the driver is very open and honest. And so that is the great thing about working with us. And I'm not trying to be biased, but seriously working with us, because we're third party and we could just X those off.
Yep. I also point out, because of the laws now with ban the box and some other things, I can't have a certain conversation with you. Depending on where you live, I can't ask you, do you have felonies, tickets, accidents, DUIs, etc. Ultimately, I want to hire a driver that's going to be successful. Rig on Wheels isn't trying to hire you. They're trying to place you at the right opportunity. So you get to have an honest discussion with the recruiters at Rig on Wheels. It behooves you. Have an honest discussion. Come right out. If you have a felony, if you have a ticket, if you have a DUI, if you have any issue, the nice thing with Rig on Wheels is they're not going to judge you. They are not your ultimate jury, judge, and executioner. Have that conversation. Hey, I've been driving this long. I do this. This is what I've done. This is the good and this is the bad of my background. With that said, on the flip side, if you don't have those things and you have a clean driving record and a safe, stable work record, Rig on Wheels is still a good spot for you. They are not looking to just place you at any place that says yes. They ultimately want to set you up for long-term success. So instead of going to your next carrier where you may spend 3 months and realize, I hate this place, but you wasted weeks trying to make the decision to come to that conclusion, go to Rig on Wheels, have the conversation with them, talk honestly and openly about who you are, what you need, what your family needs, what your spouse at home needs, that ultimately will let you be successful. And so we'll be able to match you up. I hope that it's MVT, but ultimately at the end of the day, Kameel and her team are going to work to put you in the best place possible, be it Mesilla Valley Transportation or for the 40 other carriers in this industry that ultimately align with your needs and desires. Hey, Kayla, just for the folks that they can see it, can you put the phone number back up there? Again, if you're looking for a great opportunity with Rig on Wheels, any of their 40 carriers, be it Mesilla Valley Transportation or a number of other carriers, call 281-968-3100 or visit rigonwheels.com to work with us or any of their other clients that ultimately are going to lead you to long-term career success and a true career path.
Absolutely. And we have recruiters, look, standing by the phone. That good old, was it infomercial?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now you're not throwing in the steak knives. I want to be very clear on that. Kameel is not going to give you steak knives
or encyclopedias. So 281-968-3100, and there's waiting by the phone to answer your calls. Yeah, so most definitely. So we can definitely go to a great commercial, Kayla, and then come back and let's see what we got on the clock here. Okay, perfect. And we can, let's go. Yeah. And go to commercial, and then we can talk about Joe a little bit in the truck. That'll be great.
At Mesilla Valley Transportation, every driver is behind the wheel of a late model International LT, a truck that takes comfort, convenience, and safety to a whole new level. Join us as we explore the impressive features of this powerhouse on wheels. The open road is full of surprises, and sometimes that includes unexpected encounters with wildlife. But worry not, the International LT has you covered. The front end protection guard offers an extra layer of defense, protecting you from animal strikes. Drive with confidence, knowing that you're shielded from the unexpected. We all know how important it is to keep our batteries charged, and our International LTs have your back. The Cummins X15 is equipped with an auto start feature, ensuring that your batteries are automatically recharged when they run low on volts. It's a seamless process that keeps you powered up and ready to hit the road. Disc brakes and an engine brake provide reliable and safe stopping power when you need it most. you can have peace of mind knowing that you're in control. Safety is at the forefront of what we do. Our International LTs are equipped with top-of-the-line safety features to ensure your well-being while out on the road. These tractors are equipped with Bendix fusion protection, collision mitigation, and lane departure warning. Achieving good fuel efficiency deserves recognition. With the International LT, your efforts don't go unnoticed. When you consistently achieve impressive miles per gallon, the International LT rewards you with increased speed. It's a little extra motivation to keep you pushing for better fuel economy. After a long drive, you're ready for a well-deserved break. With the International LT, you can enjoy your rest period in absolute comfort. Thanks to its auxiliary power unit, you can keep the driver's cabin heated or cooled just the way you like it. No matter the weather outside, you'll always find your sweet spot within our International LTs. The International LT understands that comfort extends beyond driving. It's a space where you can truly feel at home. I'm a big guy, and I have room to move around in here. With plenty of room to spare, the International LT accommodates even the tallest drivers. And there's ample storage for all your clothes, cooking essentials, and tools, making life on the road even more convenient. Speaking of cooking, bring along your appliances and don't sacrifice any luxuries thanks to all of our International LTs being equipped with built-in inverters. Dry your hair, make a smoothie, or play a game, all from the comfort of your truck. We take pride in our well-maintained fleet. And if by chance you do come across something wrong on your truck, you're never far from help thanks to our valuable relationship with Penske. With more than 750 brick-and-mortar Penske shops nationwide, their expert team is always ready to assist you. From routine maintenance to unexpected repairs, they'll get you taken care of and back on the road in no time. And there you have it. Just a few things about this late model International LT that make MVT the place to be.
Welcome back. I love that commercial because I love seeing. You know what? Something I was going to say. Can you talk about when there is a challenge with the truck and how Penske picks it up and all of that type of stuff? Because I saw a driver having to drive a Penske truck yesterday.
So the equipment's good to begin with, but as we've talked about a lot on the show, what's a company's plan B or C or D? Sometimes this trucking industry does not go right. The best laid plans can go to waste very quickly, be it a canceled load or some kind of weird maintenance issue that comes up. And maintenance issues will happen. If you've been on the road for any length of time, you know maintenance issues will happen. I love the fact that Penske has a fiduciary interest in both our drivers and us being successful, meaning that if your truck breaks down and it's not going to be a quick repair, we often get to borrow a truck or have a loaner truck from Penske, ultimately putting you back in the truck that you are most comfortable with. But with that said, Penske, because of the running lanes and engineered lanes that we run, Penske has a ton of locations. So let's say, as an example, you have a pre-plan that goes El Paso to Dallas, Dallas to Denver, Denver to El Paso. Mm-hmm. And as you start approaching Dallas, start noticing a few issues with your air conditioning. And then when you leave Dallas, your air conditioning just stops. You go to your nearest Penske location. We generally work with Penske very closely, and they go, hey, in Amarillo, we have a location. Why don't we check it out? Uh-oh, this is going to be a 3-day repair. We cannot possibly get this done. We're missing a part. They will give you a loaner truck to make sure that you're able to go to Denver, El Paso, and complete your rotation around that particular running lane. And when you come back through, you can pick up your original truck. Let's say we get stuck in the middle of Timbuktu and there's not a Penske location nearby. They will physically bring a truck to you. Again, trucking is a hard industry for anybody. If you've been in any length of time, you can do everything right and your plan will blow up in smoke. How you need to judge a company is when things don't go as planned or go right. A, does your dispatcher, fleet manager, or planners treat you correctly? Are your customers understanding of everything that's going on? And at the end of the day, the people responsible for the equipment, do they make amends and ultimately make your situation better when it could be worse? That's where Penske is a valuable partner for us, and our drivers rave over their ability to get you in and out quickly. One of the things I'll also point out above and beyond just our relationship with Penske is let's talk a little bit about the APU unit. APUs are an unbelievable luxury. They help with your MPG bonuses, which we are aggressive on. The other part of that is we're going to be coming into the winter months very soon. You're going to start getting into areas that it's going to get cold and you can't idle the truck. In some jurisdictions, it's illegal. Once you get to the 30-minute mark in Dallas County, as an example, your idle time's over. So you either got to spend a lot of money out of pocket for idle air, or you can operate the APU. Not only do we stick you with an APU that's extremely reliable, a Turbo King APU, we train you how to use it, how to ultimately get the most out of that APU unit. So, an example of that is your APU does not heat or cool the truck. There is a process in place of getting the truck at the correct temperature, and then the APU comes on to maintain the temperature that you want it at. We talk about how to start the APU, how to utilize it, how so that you understand everything about it. Because the thing about it is when it gets really, really cold or really, really hot, the reliability of you being able to be comfortable so that you can get sleep overnight, or quite frankly, not freeze your fingers off, becomes really, really important. We not only give you the tools to be successful, but then we train you on how to utilize the tools to optimize what they can do for you.
Well, first, I want to say there are some trucking companies that do not think that it's an emergency if the driver is out of air conditioning. So
unfortunately, that's true.
So let's start there. 1. 2, when I saw that the driver had a Penske truck, I was so proud because, like you said, that's how you judge your trucking company, not by when everything goes right, but by when things go wrong.
Yep.
So I was very proud to see that. I definitely wanted to point that out. So I'm glad I remember say that on today because that's what it was for me.
Couldn't agree more. Kameel, I know you have a number of other things that you may be talking about here. I have to run. I actually have a meeting with several of our drivers, so I'm going to jump off here because I like making myself available to the people that ultimately pay my paycheck.
Yes,
let me be clear. I know where my bread is buttered. And at the end of the day, as somebody that had a grandfather that was in the truck for 54 years and a couple uncles in the truck still currently, always, like anybody in the management team from Mesilla Valley, want to make myself available to our current drivers. So I have to jump on with a couple of our drivers here in about 2 minutes. But as always, I appreciate everybody for listening in again this week. Kameel, thank you so much. Kayla, back in the studio. You do a great job. I appreciate it, everybody. I got to run. Thank you for watching again this week, though. Bye, Kameel. Bye, team.
Bye. Well, actually, everybody, just to be honest with you, we were at the bottom or the top of the show, right? Kayla, it's the bottom of the show. I think.
Yeah, bottom of the show.
It's the
right?
bottom of the show. You know how. The end of the show. How about that? I know that is correct. So I want everybody to be safe. Make sure you watch the debate tonight. I think it's 8:00 Central Time, if I'm not wrong. I'm having a watch party myself. But so just make sure that everybody is registered to vote, whichever way you go. I'm being silly about who I want to win. I mean, I'm not being silly about that, but I'm just being silly about everything else. But make sure you exercise your right as an American. All of that is very, very important. So do your due diligence and get on there and watch this great debate tonight. And everybody be safe. We are going to have some bad weather coming up in Houston. I know it's a hurricane, but I don't think the hurricane is supposed to really hit Houston, but Louisiana during the night. So I want y'all to be real safe. Y'all I-10 folk, be very, very safe. Park if necessary. Do not be no hero or anything of the sort. Okay, I need you to get home to your wife and your mothers and everybody else. So everybody be safe, and we'll see you back next week. I think we'll be live in the Mansfield studio next week, Pierson and I. So we'll have a live audience. That's what we'll have. So see you guys next week, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Bye-bye.